We've been taught repeatedly that the body and speech don't move without the mind, that it's our intentions that cause us to speak and act, however automatic it can seem sometimes. And on the flip, it works on the flip side though as well, in that what we do with our body and speech can influence the mind. And I found that very much with the rituals at the ceremonies for the full ordination in Taiwan, that the rituals themselves really steered my mind in a positive direction. So that's what I want to share a little bit about today, having just gotten home from the full ordination in Taiwan. And the 45-day training program had 3 different ceremonies. So there was the shamanary ordination that we retook, the full ordination, and then the ordination for the Bodhisattva precepts. And the rituals, a lot of our time was spent in the explanation of the rituals, the rehearsing of the rituals, and then the rituals themselves. Hours, sometimes maybe I think 6 hours a day on certain days was taken up with these rituals. And it was beautiful. And I was told beforehand that the ceremonies are sung or chanted. And really almost every line was sung. And I say sung because chanting doesn't really capture the beauty of the melodies that were used, and especially the head bhikshu, Venerable Yunming, his voice was just stunning. I think he had to barely open his mouth, and the melodies that were coming through just made my mind soar. In addition to what he could convey so much with how he chanted, and in addition to what was actually being said, they just came together in a beautiful way. But in terms of the actual content of the ceremonies themselves, it was so impactful. The actual time for receiving the precepts in each ordination was very small. Most of the ceremony was about preparing the mind to receive the precepts. So, our qualifications to receive the precepts were checked multiple times. We engaged in purification practices. There was teachings on the right motivation to have to receive the precepts. And then again and again, we requested the precepts. And the Dalai Lama often says that if the Buddha had a slogan, it would be dependent arising. And throughout these ceremonies, this phrase caught my attention was, by relying upon you, I will receive the shamanary, the full ordination, or the bodhisattva precepts. This phrase, just repeating it again and again, just really struck me in terms of, we don't walk this path on our own. It is only because others have gone before us and have put in the hard work to transform their own minds that we can all be here in this monastery today, but also was I able to go and receive the full ordination. And in all these ceremonies, the 200 plus participants would start off like lined up in formation, all facing the central aisle. And then once all the participants were there, a group of 4 or 8 would be led out by the guides to go and invite the preceptors to come to the assembly. For the shamanary ordination, we relied on 3 elders. For the full ordination, the nuns relied on 20, 10 bhikshus and 10 elder nuns. And they were invited in to the accompaniment of like drums and chanting, and then there would be bowing and kneeling and these requests. And there was a formula that was repeated at least 3 times, ending with, by relying upon you. And just yesterday, we were encouraged by Venerable Children to make this reflection on kindness part of our daily life as a cause for happiness. And I really found that in the ordination, that by reflecting on this beautiful dependence that we have on our elders to be able to practice the path, I felt so happy. Just seeing the preceptors walk into the room, not before they even got to their seat and said anything, I was just happy seeing them for this recognition of our interdependence and what I was receiving from them. And that this joy and gratitude protects us from, there's ups and downs every day. But if we have this joy of gratitude, then things can, water off a duck's back. We're protected by that joy, just keep moving forward in a positive direction. And even in and in terms of the form as well, like there was the form during the ceremonies, but even outside there was this encouragement to have this humble, respectful form. That in terms of any time a guide was speaking to us, it was palms joined. And you don't relax your palms until they have said that you can. And I found that really helpful for my mind, because it communicates, one action communicates so much to myself and also the other person who I'm speaking to, in terms of, I am here to listen, and I want to listen. I want to show respect. I want to recognize that the person, the elder who I'm speaking to or is speaking to me, has something very important to convey, and that I'm open to listening and considering what is being said. And so even in these more informal instances, the power of what I was doing with my body really resounded and impacted my mind in a positive way. And so there was this side of humbling ourselves, showing respect, recognizing the gift of what we were receiving. And then on the other side as well was this recognition of our potential that was embodied in the ritual itself, and in various ways. Before the preceptors entered the ordination platform, there was this verse, various verses about how the full ordination was ensuring the lineage of the Sangha, and that may the Dhamma last forever, and that may the three fruits never cease. And just this progression of recognizing that through continuing the full ordination, continuing the lineage of the Sangha, then there is the hope that the Dharma will continue, not just in books, but in the minds of people, embodied in practitioners that can then go and influence and impact and spread the Dharma to others. And so it was very clear the position of the candidates there in terms of the ones receiving, to be taught, to be molded. But then the potential that we can be trained and molded and shaped and blossom was so clear, and we received so much encouragement. One instance really stands out to me, which I will try to convey, but it's hard. I think it stands out to me because this is one thing that we didn't rehearse. So I wasn't expecting, I had no framework to kind of hang this on, but it was in the evening after everyone, all the 140 or plus nuns had received the full ordination. And that took multiple days because we go in sets of 3, so it was a long process. All of us went back up to the platform with the dual Sangha with the 20 preceptors inside. And a few of us, we were lined inside and then streaming out. And we'd gone in and we received some final advice. And it was at the end point where all the preceptors were meant to be coming out. And Venerable Kunga and I were in one of the second pod that received the precepts, who were right just at the door. And I think we were kneeling, and then we just heard the instruction, bow. And so we bowed to the floor, just like, face on the concrete. And we couldn't see anything except some of the shoes and then the yellow robes that were kind of walking by. And in the ears, there was like this really loud megaphone with speakers, not megaphone, with as each preceptor walked out, they were handed a microphone to give us encouragement, or kind of a short teaching that Venerable Downsha kindly translated for us. And after every person, all the participants were shouting Yami Tofo. And yeah, it was just there, nose on the ground, and the encouragement that we were being given was just beautiful. We were at the lowest position that we could make ourselves, at the feet of our teachers. And Master Ween multiple times actually had affirmed that you are now the Sangha jewel, you are the Buddha jewel, you are the Dharma jewel. I think someone else said we are passing the responsibility on to you, and of course that's not happening in that moment, or that is not true in that moment. think most of the preceptors had been ordained for at least 30 plus years. I think the head Bhikshuni guide 60 plus years. Yeah, but this affirmation of what we can become in that moment of like the aspiration and then where we were, it was hard to convey the impact of that happening at the same time. Yeah, just that encouragement of our potential, and not just the potential of the individual, because in that moment, yes, you are the three jewels, or you can become the three jewels, in terms of the potential of the individual to transform their own mind, to abandon all faults, accomplish all good qualities. But it's the potential to be of benefit to others that was really the emphasis, because all the other instructions or encouragement was never abandon your bodhicitta, never turn back, serve sentient beings. That was the most important emphasis. So, yeah, I just keep coming back to this: by relying upon you, da 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 da, and to really see that that applies in each moment, in each day, actually. That throughout the day, by relying upon countless sentient beings, I am able to eat, sleep, be fed, clothed, practice my spiritual goals. By relying on this community here, by relying on our benefactors, most of which I don't know personally, and then these so-called strangers that just by living in their lives, we have all the goods and services we need to keep going forward. So, yeah, I aspire to keep reflecting on these ordination ceremonies themselves, just one aspect that have got so much wisdom in it, to keep coming back and cultivating this respect and gratitude, and to use that joy to really move forward and serve the sentient beings as I've been instructed to do.